Thank you for listening to the Business Blast podcast. So for all my listeners out there that have been wanting to do your own podcast, I'd like to introduce to you Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. So before I found Anchor, I had never actually done a podcast because all the research that I had gathered made it seem very complex. Then I found Anchor, and Anchor makes podcasting extremely simple. So if you want to do your own podcast, go to anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Rafael Estepe with us. He's the founder of eMicro Solutions, a full-service technology, and we want to be your technology partner. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course, man. We'll dive in. The first question I have for you, Rafael, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
I guess the best story is to be truthful. Even though sometimes it hurts, especially with clients, I always let them know what's going on, the good and the bad. And that's always worked for me. People and clients understand that, things happen, but at least they know what's going on and they're up to date, and they most of the time understand, and they're grateful that I'm honest with them.
And what's the most valuable piece of information we should know that is within your expertise or industry?
Well, the thing is that I've learned that every client's different, and I think that I've learned in what I do with programming and hardware that even though there might be 2 or 3 clients with the same company structure, everybody does things differently, and the outcome might be the same, but the way to get there is different, and that's something I've learned through my years. That not to expect that everybody wants the same thing the same way.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
Overall, keep your promises. Make sure that the client is always up to date, know what's going on. I've seen lots of companies promise the world and never delivered. Never say more than you think you can deliver, and always underestimate, and always make sure that you keep in touch with the client. I think that's the number one thing I've learned. Just make sure the client knows what's going on all the time. Make sure he or she's in the loop, because they really find that to be something that other big companies don't do. They start their work, they forget about them, and then at the end is when they start talking. I'm one of those persons. I've learned you keep everything up front, and the customers really, really like that.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
To learn more, to always learn more, because especially technology, it's always changing. I would have liked to kept on studying, kept on training. That's something I would think any young company or any entrepreneur that's starting out always has to make sure that he's up to date on everything. And it's something that never ends, actually. You have to keep on going and keep on training and keep on learning, especially in technology.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Love what you do and do what you love. I love what I do. So it's not a work. It's I like it. I think about it all the time. It's pleasurable. I like meeting people, making things happen. I like to solve the problems that clients have and see their faces. Wow, So I think that's what it is. Love what you do. If you love what you do, you're good at it. Even without even trying, you're going to be good at it because it's something that, it's from you.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Oh, I usually
don't read much. I read mostly technical books because I like to know what's going out there. Really, mostly technical books I read. I don't read too much literature. Something I always, new programming languages, new ways of doing new techniques. I'm doing networking and things like that. I like to learn, and I guess I read journals and I read technical magazines and technical books. I really don't read novels and things like that. But one of my novels I like is when I was a kid, in 1984. That was a book I read and was really good. I really loved it.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
Oh, you got me there. My favorite quote and why. They got me here. I can't think of one right now.
It could be more like a mantra. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be word for word.
Well, I think there's one that's never do things twice when you can do it the first time right. I believe in that. Try to do it first time right, because if you don't do it, then it's going to take you longer and it's going to be harder. So I try to live by that. I try to do the thing as good as I can the first time, and not prolong it, not put it aside. I try to do things the first time, and I try to do it as best as I can, because I know that the second time around it might not be as good as what I had the first time when my was fresh idea in my mind.
Yes, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
They can find me at www.emicrosolutions.net, and I have a section there on the website. You can actually ask me questions, ask me for advice, and then I'll return that. Or my email address, which is my first initial R, my last name Estepe at emicrosolutions.net.
Perfect, man. Thank you again for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.